I had 3 victims that I've been working with, victims of the Carters, that were ready to come forward. This might help them feel a little more confident now. So this is great. Everything you see about him is an illusion. But what he loves the most is controlling youth.
Fact check me. And Jaguar has more information than I do. So to anybody who discredits her is really doesn't know what's going on, because she has more information than I could even dream of having, because I'm sure, without even speaking to her about this.
Rihanna, the picture-perfect innocent victim. Jay-Z, the loyal mentor who guided her to fame. Chris Brown, the so-called monster who ruined everything. But what if that story isn't the truth at all? What if everything the world believes is flipped on its head? Jaguar Wright is stepping up with a version that'll leave you speechless. A version where the lines between victim and villain blur in ways you'd never expect. Because sometimes, the one crying victim is really the one hiding the darkest secrets. Jaguar claims that behind the glamorous lights, contracts, and magazine covers, a completely different reality was unfolding. One built on manipulation, power, and silence. She says Rihanna wasn't some helpless girl caught in the storm. She was a player in it, maybe even the one holding some of the cards. And according to Jaguar, Jay-Z wasn't just a protective mentor, he was a man who knew way too much about what was really going on. Now, let's rewind. Not to the polished fairy tale Hollywood sold you, but to where it truly began. Imagine this, a 16-year-old girl from Barbados, barely old enough to make her own choices, suddenly flown halfway across the world.
So tell me about your audition with Jay-Z. Tell me what he said to you.
A really good audition.
Yes.
But before I met him, I was so nervous. I was shaking literally. But the moment I walked into the office, the atmosphere was so warm and welcoming.
And you had to sing a cappella for him?
Yes, I had to sing. I sang Fun to Replay. I sang another ballad from the album last time.
So then what did he say to you? He said something to you.
Oh yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief.
But then he said something about a window and a door or something.
Oh, then he said, he did it homework.
I did a lot of homework on you, this lady.
He said, there are 2 ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal signed or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
So you was like, where's the pen? Here's the paper. I'm signing.
It's the middle of the night in New York City, the kind of night that feels endless. She's sitting alone in a towering Manhattan skyscraper, surrounded by glass walls and cold silence. No parents, no family, no safety net, just a teenager and a powerful man who would soon take control of every move she made. Listen closely to Rihanna's own words, because hidden between her calm tone and sweet smile lies the truth she didn't even realize she was revealing. She called it an audition. But if you really pay attention, every detail she mentioned paints a chilling picture. She spoke about feeling small, intimidated, completely isolated in that massive office with no one to turn to and no way out. She said she was there for hours, waiting, pressured, until she had no choice but to sign those papers that would change her entire life forever. And then, years later, Jay-Z himself practically confirmed it without even realizing how it sounded. In one interview, he smirked and said, "We didn't let her leave without signing." Read that again. A grown, powerful man openly saying he didn't let a 16-year-old girl walk out of his office until she signed a contract that would bind her to him and his label. That's not mentorship. That's not opportunity. That's control. That's the kind of pressure that breaks people down from the inside. Now here's where it gets truly disturbing. After that so-called business meeting, Rihanna reportedly couldn't sleep for 3 straight days. 3 nights wide awake, shaking, restless, her mind spinning. When someone can't close their eyes after a meeting, that's not excitement. That's a trauma response. Her body was screaming what her mind was trying to bury. She told people she felt weird afterward, that something inside her shifted, that she wasn't the same anymore. But Jaguar Wright takes the story even darker, straight into the shadows the industry never wanted exposed. She claims Rihanna wasn't even 16 when it all started. She was just 15, a teenage girl barely beginning to understand the world, thrown into a system that knew exactly how to mold, control, and condition her every move. Jaguar says this wasn't some random meeting.
We didn't let her leave the office. Really? The 3 in the morning was when that contract got signed. So from the meeting around 3, 4 in the afternoon, we signed it by 3 in the morning.
Wow.
That day, I was absolutely certain.
How often does that happen? I mean, that's
not often.
That's unheard of, right?
That's not. Yeah. I mean, to get lawyers to draft up contracts and then the other side to agree to contracts in 10 hours is...
It was carefully planned, calculated down to the minute. She paints the picture of a child sitting in that cold corporate building, all alone with a man who held her future in his hands. 4 long hours. That's how long Jaguar says this meeting lasted. 4 hours where a frightened 15-year-old was trapped in a room with someone who had all the power and all the control. No witnesses, no protection. Just silence, pressure, and the weight of an entire industry standing behind the man in charge. But according to Jaguar Wright, the manipulation didn't end with Rihanna signing that contract. It was just the beginning of her conditioning. The moment she was locked in, she was thrown straight into the adult world of fame, parties, and powerful people who should have been her protectors, but instead became her enablers. At just 15 and 16, she was being escorted into late-night industry events, exclusive after parties, and rooms filled with people twice her age, pretending everything was normal. Jaguar says this was no accident. It was all part of a system designed to break her down, to make her believe this was the only way to survive in the game. She claims that anyone who dared to question it, anyone who whispered that Rihanna was still a child, was quietly pushed out. Some were fired, others blacklisted, gone overnight like they never existed. The machine made sure no one interfered with their golden investment. And then came that Grammy moment, the one that should have been pure triumph. The world saw a young star glowing under the spotlight, but Jaguar urges us to look closer. In the footage, Jay-Z doesn't look like a proud mentor. He looks like a man making sure everything stays exactly as he wants it. Watch the way he moves, how he interrupts, how his presence shifts the whole energy. Is that celebration or control? This isn't the story of a lucky discovery or a young talent being found. According to Jaguar Wright, this is documentation.
Well, first, I met a producer in Barbados who was vacationing there because his wife is from there. So he was vacationing there one time, and my friend who knows him, she wanted me to meet with him. So in a nutshell, I went to his hotel room, I sang for him, and he was impressed. So he invited me out to his studio to do some recording, and we recorded for like a year back and forth. Then we finally put a demo together. We sent it to a few labels, and Def Jam happened to be the first label to call back. They were the most enthusiastic about everything. So we set up a meeting with Jay-Z, and I met with him, and he was very impressed by the audition. And he didn't let me leave until 3 in the morning after we signed the deal.
Well, were you nervous meeting Jay?
What? I was literally shaking in the lobby. It was the longest 12 hours of my life. Like, I was just waiting downstairs, and I was like, get the contract down.
Proof of a system that preys on the vulnerable, disguised as opportunity, and wrapped neatly in the shiny language of the music business. Behind the smiles, award shows, and hit records lies a machine that knows exactly how to lure, control, and silence. And the most twisted part? Jaguar claims Rihanna learned that system so well that later, she used the same tactics herself, turning them on someone who got too close to exposing what really went down. The victim became part of the system. But let's not jump too far ahead, because before we get there, we have to talk about something even darker. Rihanna, Jaguar says, wasn't the only one. She was just one piece of a much bigger pattern, one that had been repeating for decades. And at the center of it all stood the same powerful man, Jay-Z, a man who built an empire, not just through music, but through manipulation and control. And then Jaguar drops a bomb that could shatter everything. She says the person who knows this pattern better than anyone is the woman who shares his bed every single night, Beyonce. Jaguar claims Beyonce has always known exactly who her husband is, exactly what he's done, and exactly how he's done it. She says Beyonce has watched this systematic predatory cycle play out over and over again for years.
Who had been flown to the United States without parental supervision or a chaperone, brought to a grown man's office in a large corporate Manhattan building. Everybody knew when she flew in. I was there the day she got signed. Everyone was talking about it, and the 6 hours that she spent with him, and the 4 hours that she spent alone with him with no parental supervision. Her father didn't show up to the next day to come and collect the check.
Well, and
this is her life.
The rumors were even beyond that, right? That Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce with her when she was
Very
17
so.
Is what a lot of this came out through a publicist who later then
Have
had
you
to
spoken
apologize.
to my friend Jonathan? Hey, you should talk to Jonathan.
And stayed silent, not because she's scared, but because she's protecting the empire. Let that sink in. The woman praised as a feminist icon, the global symbol of female empowerment, allegedly standing by while young girls were being mistreated right in front of her eyes. Jaguar says Beyonce chose wealth, image, and power over truth, over justice, over morality. She didn't speak out. She didn't warn anyone. She protected her husband's legacy because it meant protecting her own. Now, Jaguar Wright pulls the curtain back completely, revealing the full, disturbing pattern she says has been hiding in plain sight for decades. She claims Jay-Z didn't just target Rihanna. She says this pattern stretched much further back to Beyonce when she was still underage, and even before that, to Aaliyah when she was just a teenager. 3 different young girls, 3 different eras, but the same haunting behavior repeating again and again. Jaguar calls it a predatory pattern masked by fame, power, and industry connections. But here's where it gets truly chilling. Aaliyah was different. Jaguar insists that Aaliyah didn't play along, that she rejected him.
Removed from that first team from Pond the Replay and replaced with all new handlers, and kept sheltered in Los Angeles, where she was going out to parties and partying at 15, 16, 17 years old, hanging out at the Rainbow Room, hanging out. Yeah, like it was one of my friends who found out she was 17 when everyone thought she was 21. And he was like, yo, why do y'all got me carrying this girl around? And she's, oh, it's cool, it's cool.
Well, but just to echo and support you, like they had to debunk that. Oh, we apologize. It wasn't real. We made it up in hopes of giving her single a boost.
Yeah, they
like,
promised
what?
Jonathan a deal working at Tidal and something, and then they reneged. And then the next thing you know, he was caught in a home invasion robbery while he was working on the Drake secret baby mama story.
Jeez.
Sophie. He was duct taped, him and his daughter, and he was pow whipped in front of his child. So, you know, there's a lot.
And according to her, Jay-Z doesn't take rejection well. Not in business, not in relationships, not ever. Remember that, Jaguar says, because what happens to people who refuse his system never ends well. Those are her words, and they echo with a warning that feels too specific to ignore. Look closely at the timeline she lays out. Beyonce at 15, at 16, Rihanna at 15. That's not coincidence, Jaguar argues. That's methodology. A repeated playbook designed to find young, impressionable girls on the rise, draw them in with promises of fame, and then trap them in a web of control before they even understand what's happening. She says this isn't about love or mentorship. It's about power and ownership. Jay-Z, according to her, mastered the art of using his influence in the industry to gain access to rising young stars and shape their futures to serve his empire. But according to Jaguar Wright, the pattern goes way deeper than anyone ever imagined. It's not just about fame, money, or even power. It's about something darker, something that insiders have whispered about for years but never dared to say out loud. Enter Jonathan Hay, a known industry insider who stepped forward claiming Jay-Z's private behavior was far from the polished image the world saw. Hay says even Jay-Z's closest partners witnessed things that left them deeply unsettled, things that couldn't be explained away as industry culture. Dame Dash, Jay-Z's longtime friend and business partner, reportedly saw enough to walk away for good. Jaguar says Dame wasn't just tired of business disagreements. He was disturbed by what he saw behind the scenes, things that made him question everything about the man he once called a brother. That's not gossip. That's a man cutting ties with an empire he helped build because the truth behind it made him sick.
Dad, I know I promised you I'm gonna give you my first Grammy, but we might have to fight for this one.
She said she want to thank everybody for her first Grammy.
Anyway, I'd like to thank Jay-Z for being a part of this record with me.
She like to thank Jigga Man for being the greatest in the world.
Ellen Reed, Steve Bartles, Tata, Jay Brown, Karen Kwok for finding this amazing record. Tricky, Dream for writing such a beautiful record. Thank you, I love you guys. Mom, Dad, my 2 brothers, Rory and Rajad. Please wrap up, okay? Barbados, I love you. We got one. Evan Rogers, Carl Sturken, Mark Jordan, Krista, and making sure I don't forget anybody. Thank you so much. This means a lot.
And here's where it all circles back. Remember, this is the same man who, according to Jaguar, was left alone for 4 long hours with a 15-year-old Rihanna in that Manhattan office. Now imagine hearing stories about that same behavior continuing year after year, unchallenged, while everyone around him stayed quiet. But what makes Beyonce's silence so devastating, Jaguar says, is that she wasn't just aware, she profited from it. Every time Jay-Z pulled another young girl into his orbit, their empire grew stronger. Every time he got away with it, their brand got safer. The money poured in, the fame multiplied, and their names became untouchable. Jaguar claims Beyonce made a decision, a cold, strategic decision, to protect the empire instead of the victims. She could have spoken up. She could have ended it all with one word. She could have used her voice to protect the next young girl walking into that same trap. But instead, she became his most powerful ally, not by accident, but by choice. Together, they turned silence into strategy and turned pain into profit. And that silence, Jaguar warns, came with a deadly cost. Because in their world, people who know too much don't just disappear. They're erased. Before we get to that, though, Jaguar says we have to understand how Jay-Z maintains control once he traps someone in his system. Watch closely. Jaguar Wright breaks down Rihanna's body language during her Super Bowl performance. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. She points out the exact moment Rihanna flashes Jay-Z's famous Rockefeller diamond hand sign. Not with pride, but with hesitation. Her eyes flick upward toward his private box, searching for approval before she does it. Jaguar insists that this wasn't a tribute, it was obedience. That's not an artist honoring her mentor. That's someone performing for the person who still holds the strings.
Innovating, but the thing is, everyone in the backdrop knew that he was the celebrity John Doe. Everybody knew that. They knew it when I did Pierce Morgan.
Is Beyonce Celebrity B?
I hope to God not, but she was around. And she's very... she's got enough on her plate. After everything that happened with the election and everything that's happening right now, I'm not going to dump on that woman. She got better fish to fry.
Well,
what I
look,
will say is that her husband, she knows exactly who he is.
Jaguar calls this public control disguised as performance. She says every move Rihanna makes in the spotlight, every outfit, every statement is carefully designed to uphold the image that keeps Jay-Z's empire untouchable. It's the same with Beyonce. Both women, according to Jaguar, are trapped under his financial thumb. They're not equal partners in his billion-dollar kingdom. They're corporate assets, controlled and monitored to ensure everything benefits him. Their fame fuels his power, their silence protects his image, and their success hides his sins. But it doesn't stop with money or contracts. Jaguar says the control goes way deeper. Behind the glamour, behind the red carpets and the luxury, there's pain that the cameras never capture. According to her sources, both Beyonce and Rihanna have endured ongoing mistreatment. And the most horrifying part is how the industry has allegedly trained them to protect the very person responsible. Jaguar claims this manipulation runs so deep that even when the two women see each other, they maintain the act, covering, deflecting, pretending everything's perfect. It's an unspoken pact of silence born from fear and control, not loyalty. Now here's where Jaguar says things turn from twisted to truly sinister. That infamous elevator incident, the one the world turned into a meme, wasn't just a family argument or a sister defending her sibling. According to Jaguar, Solange wasn't simply standing up for Beyonce that night.
That's not the only one, right? There's Aaliyah as well. I was looking at these photos. There's a history
but
of
Aaliyah
this, right?
Definitely. A lot of people don't realize the timeline, but after everything went bad with Robert Kelly and he had to divorce Aaliyah, Jay-Z was interested while she was still underage. And as she started spending more time in New York, he was very, very, very right there. She didn't want that. She didn't want that with him. And if there's one thing I can tell you about Sean Carter, being embarrassed and being rejected are things he does not handle well. You know, a lot of people say, oh.
She was challenging the entire system of control, Solange was more than a sister. She was Beyonce's last real link to life outside Jay-Z's reach, her one genuine emotional anchor untouched by his influence. And Jaguar claims Jay-Z knew that. She says he understood that as long as Solange remained close, Beyonce could still think for herself, could still question him. So what did he allegedly do? He turned that moment into a weapon, engineering Solange's public humiliation and quiet removal from Beyonce's inner world. The elevator footage wasn't just leaked, it was used. Look at what happened right after. Before that night, Solange was everywhere, at events, performances, award shows, always by her sister's side. After the elevator scandal, silence. Vanished from the narrative. The sisters who once shared everything suddenly appeared distant, separated by design. Jaguar insists Jay-Z didn't just survive that attack. He benefited from it. He used the fallout to isolate Beyonce completely, cutting her off from the one person who could truly see through the facade. And all the while, Rihanna was watching, observing how power could twist loyalty, how isolation could be used to keep even the strongest women in line. Jaguar says Rihanna was learning the rules of this dark system, the same system that would later be turned against her when she unknowingly got too close to uncovering what Jay-Z was really doing behind those closed doors. Jaguar Wright says this is where the story flips the narrative completely, turning what looked like justice into something much darker and more strategic. According to her, Rihanna's televised confession wasn't just a moment of vulnerability, it was a calculated operation.
Jay-Z used to have transgender women on there, on the tour bus. He knows that. He knows that Jay-Z used to prefer transgender women. So I don't know why. I wish Dame Dash would come out and, you know, say everything, but maybe in his own way, he's trying to, you know, protect the hip hop culture and knows how many people could be crushed if he came out and really spoke about Jay-Z's secrets. They set out to do that, you know?
Did you personally see Jay-Z with transgender women? You personally?
I have, correct.
Can you speak on like maybe in what aspect? Is it music video or outside of music videos?
It was during the tour. It was during the tour with the Mill, DMX, Jay-Z.
The Hard Knock Life.
No.
Or maybe a different one.
Yeah, they had the documentary for it. What was that called? I'll think of it. I'll think of it here in a little bit.
Yeah, it was a documentary, backstage or the
backstage with the Mill and all that. I used to work with her, and I definitely. It was unmistakable. You know, in 2024, the trans women are. You know, it can be hard, you know, like a lot of people that, you know, they don't know, but back then it wasn't as advanced and you could clearly tell.
A weaponized performance designed to destroy Chris Brown's image permanently while keeping the real power player hidden in the shadows. She points out how perfectly timed the interview was, airing right when Chris was attempting to rebuild his career, make amends, and prove personal growth. But then, out of nowhere, came this emotional, perfectly framed interview that reignited the public outrage and shut down his comeback overnight. Jaguar calls it precision warfare. Not coincidence, but a deliberate strike meant to destroy his credibility forever. And here's where her theory gets chilling. Jaguar reminds everyone of everything that came before. The underage grooming allegations, the 4 hours alone in that Manhattan office, the signing under pressure, the constant manipulation. Now, she says, watch Rihanna's interview again. Every pause, every word, every emotion seems rehearsed. Jaguar asks the haunting question, who taught her how to do that? Who gave her the language of a victim, the tone, the timing, the look? Who coached her to perform heartbreak so convincingly that the entire world forgot to ask who might really be pulling the strings behind the scenes? Jaguar's claim is that Rihanna's testimony wasn't spontaneous. It was a scripted cover story, crafted to redirect blame, silence questions, and protect the man who orchestrated the entire machine. Jay-Z, she says, was the architect, the one who taught her how to weaponize empathy and control the narrative so powerfully that even her pain became part of his protection plan. And when you think about it, Jaguar insists it makes perfect sense. The world was busy crucifying Chris Brown, labeling him the monster, while the real manipulator continued operating untouched, right in plain sight. Jay-Z, the man who allegedly created the system, walked away untarnished, while his perfect victim carried out the emotional execution that kept the empire safe for years. Whispers have swirled around the upper circles of the music world, stories of control, manipulation, and power games hidden behind the glitz of fame. Some insiders claim there's an invisible system that punishes anyone who dares to step out of line. In this version of events, a rising artist performs under invisible pressure, her every move watched by powerful figures pulling the strings. Another star, once her ally, suddenly vanishes from the spotlight after one fateful confrontation caught on camera. Those who question the system are quietly silenced, their reputations dismantled long before the public realizes what's happening. Each incident, each scandal seems to follow a pattern: isolation, humiliation, and erasure. Whether coincidence or something darker, the effect is always the same. The machine protects itself, no matter the cost. But the question remains, how much of what we see on stage is art, and how much is control? And that's the deeper side of the story, the part most people never see. Behind the lights, the fame, and the flawless performances lies a system that protects power at all costs. What do you think? Is it all coincidence, or is there something much darker behind the curtain? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want more investigations like this one, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the truth is only just beginning to surface.